What's up, people? Welcome back to What's Up TV, where we're back for another episode. And feels like it's been forever with Dubai. But it's only been a week. And welcome back, my man Ash. Great to see you, first of all, acknowledging great time to meet you and your wife in Brisbane. And since then, how have you been going, bro?
Yeah, the traveller Levon, he travels around everywhere, traveling over to Australia. How'd you like grubbies, bro, first of all? We touched on a little bit of the thing, but bro, honestly, for Australian, coming over to Australia, what's your thoughts there?
I love it, man. Yeah, Hawaiian style food, guys. I love the patty. Most patties are just thick, they either one grain of beef, but when I heard these guys do Wagyu and another grain, and then the quality, consistency of the patty is just fantastic, so.
Well, the stream's called All You Can Eats, bro. All You Can Eat, and he ate all he could eat that night.
There's Chin saying All You Can Eat Warriors, right? All You Can Eat Hawaiian, man. But I might have to go on, this might have to change to All You Can Not Eat. I have to go on an intermittent fasting on this channel, bro. I swear the food we've been taking is insane.
Bro,
that's why you go on holiday, right?
It's exactly it, man. And it was such a great time meeting you and your whānau, brother. Just as I said when we were walking back from doing our video, just so cool to meet natural people, so genuine and natural. While we're having a great conversation, both our wives just mingling while we're doing the video. Some wives and us, if you leave them alone, they'll just be pitch quietness or whatever. But our girls just talk like it was just like they've been friends since high school. So nothing but love, bro. And it just makes me more excited to come over to New Zealand, and I'm sure we'll be touching on that very shortly.
Absolutely, guys. While we're on that topic, Ash will be over. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, type hashtag I'm in for 2 free tickets to our meet and greet on the 26th of July, just before the Titans game from 1 to 2:30 p.m. at Lily Worlds Cafe. Man, exactly, bro. Much love to your wife. They hit it off. It's always great, isn't it? And we can just talk Warriors for about 6-7 hours straight. These two can talk about whatever's happening in their life. Life's good, man. Life's good. We can't complain.
No, what were we talking, bro? What were we talking? Some mental exercises. We're doing all that. It was bouncing everywhere, bro. But it always came back to our beautiful Warriors and our Warriors W squad and all that sort of stuff. So it was a great chat, great night. Again, just makes me even more excited to come over there.
Absolutely, man. It's definitely happen. And while we're on it, guys, I met actually Flash. When you're on the stream, you only see the top half of the body, so you don't know a lot. But this guy's an absolute beast. He's a monster. I can see with a bit of training, a bit of that Flanagan medicine. He would have been perfect for NRL. I can tell he's an athlete. So shout out to my bro Ash. Unfortunately, injuries get to all of us, whether old age or actual proper injuries like yourself. Man. Much love to you, bro.
I wouldn't even call it that, bro. You give me way too much respect there. You know, got a nice like little muffin top. You know what I mean? Only 6'1" on a good day. So, but no, it was, yeah. Honestly, I was so humbled by the comment section of that video too. I was like, it might have been a camera angle, surely. I say it's a camera angle.
He's a monster. He's a monster. People see it. You'll see it. You guys will see it in 2 or 3 weeks' time. But man, let's start massively. Shout out everyone in the chat. We're on 61 right now. Please hit that like and subscribe. Let's get us numbers up to minimum 50, and if we can push 100. The Wahine, man, we're going to show love. We're not going to put them at the back of the list. Show love to our Wahine and their performance. For me, I think they showed a lot of signs of potential. But I'll chuck this one to you, Ash, in terms of, what did you take from that game? It's a weird one because it was quite, the scoreline doesn't quite reflect how good our girls actually play. But let us know what you think, man.
Yeah, I feel like it was just the little things that they can clean up over time that kind of really hurt them in this contest. You know, going up against such a good squad in that Rooster squad, that were even down on a couple of troops as well. So not even taking it away, like the Roosters can definitely get better, and they're definitely up there with the Broncos this year for the NRLW to be the ones to take out the premiership. There's teams like the Dragons that showed out in the weekend as well. Looked really good. The Cowboys actually looked really, really nice in their first game. But I thought that our Warriors girls really, with what they had to contend with in this game, I love how our coach spoke after the game of all our debutantes or new to NRLW girls out there and how they performed. And I think the biggest thing I took out of this too is just seeing some of the athletes we do have out there and the potential we have to grow in certain areas. And the first one I really want to touch on, bro, is Patricia Malipu. Bro, yes. Oh my God. Yes. She is an animal. She is a freak. I cannot wait to see more and more of her. She's got that Gail Broughton sort of vibe to her with the Broncos, if anyone's seen Gail. But she's probably got a little bit more of that aggressive running style, where Gail's a little bit more of that silky ball handling type of thing. But I'm excited to see more out of her in our squad. Obviously, everyone wanted to see how Michaela would go in this game. I felt like her second half was definitely really improved comparatively to her first. So it shows she is a quick learner and she will, over time, get everything under wraps. But I loved how your videos kind of pinted it out. It's I know defensively we conceded 30 points in this game. A lot of that due to our errors that we conceded in this game. But I think defensively we actually held in the game for a decent little chunk of period there when they had constant sets on our line. So big shout out to the girls for the first massive test against the Roosters. I know, albeit got lost and, score-wise dominated in that sort of sense, but I think there's a lot of growth here, and I'm very, very happy to see where Ron can get these girls to at least by the end of the season, and what we can go to the future.
Yeah, I thought I just want to point out some of these names. The more I say the names, the more I'll remember them. But I've got my list here on my phone just because I'm still learning. These girls, and they deserve as much respect as you can. But firstly, I want to touch on the centers. I thought Ikanasio and Paki, they're quite good.
Yep. Dealing
with Surgis and what's the other one? I forget the name, but they're absolutely Kelly. They had a tough assignment against two of the best Kangaroo centers. And sometimes they got beat, but the majority they held their own. They had some nice carries as well, I really thought. Taki Moana, tough assignment against Navidi. Navidi was like Jonah Longu. I never see. She was just arming people off. The upper body strength was insane. I don't know where they came from. That Fijian cover must be hitting just power just through.
Flanagan's cover.
Flanagan's mid somehow. But she just had that fin, just that don't argue fin. And I felt for Taki Moana, it was tough to deal with. Everyone, not just her, everyone struggled on that side. But let's just quickly talk. While we're in the back line, Michaela Break, my apologies. I keep saying Bly, but Break. I actually think there's a lot of potential in her. She's, I think I'll say one thing and then I'll pass it to you back, Ash, but I think one thing for her is maybe just knowing, it's tough when you're on the back foot. She almost needs a one good carry from an Api or someone else, and then there's a quick play the ball, and then she can really get that space behind the ruck. I can just see her eventually finding space and using that speed. But I think if she's patient and knows the nuances of the game, learns that when to go and what to do, I think she'll come around. I feel like she's an athlete and she's probably a studier, and she'll look back and really fine tune what she's doing. But what did you think of Michaela's debut performance in rugby league as a kind of a star from rugby.
Yeah, this goes back to something I always seem to bring up because it's something I enjoy. Obviously, I've got a family member that plays NRLW, and she's come from a very similar way into what Michaela has done with the Vani Belite that plays for the Gold Coast Titans, that's currently out during for pregnancy. She came through Aussie Sevens. She was a Aussie Sevens gold medalist. Came over, played for the Warriors inaugural side. Her and Ellia Green came in, and like it took a little bit for those girls to really find themselves into rugby league. So it's something I do want to touch on with Vani when I get a chance to, just be like, how long did it really take you? Because I know sitting there and talking about girls on film, like even like watching James Tedesco, stuff like that, when we're talking about her playing fullback, there was still a lot of the game that she kind of is like really queried on, and like she's kind of figuring out over time. And I'm sure Michaela's going through the very similar things that Vani went through when she first came into, playing NRLW, right? I think Michaela showed, like, number one, like, athleticism. She's there all day. Like, she contends with the biggest girls out there. There was a couple of times where she ran it at two of the biggest girls, two of the strongest girls of that Roosters squad defensively through the middle and held her own right there. And you're 100% right. It's just learning those moments of, when you need to take momentum, like, especially off some of the carries. Like Arpy Nichols definitely did a lot of work in this game as well, trying to get the girls out of the back end. Follow girls like that, get into your sets, hit your dart runs in behind the ruck, and, find your front, get a quick play ball and work like that. There's going to be all those little areas you'll work out, especially defensively as well. But this will take a little bit of time. Like it took Ellia Green probably a couple of games under her belt before she started to really found her, try scoring ability, consistently in games. Vani was very similar. I see a very similar, road that Michaela's gone down. So I see just all bright stars from here, bro. Like I think athletically, she's one of the best, girls in the competition, in my opinion. Her speed, her power, her balance. It's just, I'd love to see her with a little bit of space to play with, and I'm sure that will come in time. But, it's all the little things in the game that she'll fix up on over time. NRL is quite a bit different to rugby union, especially rugby union sevens. But I'm sure she'll pick it up in time for sure.
Yeah, man, it'll come with reps and good coaching. It actually reminds me, we'll talk about Ron at the end here, but I just want to do one more talk about Maliupo.
Right.
It's seen running half right now. I think her ball play will come as she builds confidence. Kicking too, man. The length of the kicks to find touch. I think she's going to be one of a focal point for our attack this year. But her speed off the mark, her thought defensive work was pretty sound as well. The big question is she a potential star of the future, or at least is she going to be a pivotal player in terms of how far we go this year? What's your thoughts on that, Ash?
Yeah, 100%. I can definitely see her being up there for the runnings of like a rookie of the season or something for NRLW. Off the back of the side that we had out there and the amount of possession that we had in good football, good position. I thought all the opportunities she took to run, she looked like she was damaging each and every time. She took the perfect moments to run as well. She picked up on a lot of defensive cues and picked them perfectly. You're 100% right with her passing game. That'll probably take a little bit more time, as it would be, because you're dealing with defensive systems in union. Your defensive line's right up with that ruck line. You got 10 meters back, and girls make different decisions under that time, turning their shoulders in or out, or what she's going to do in those moments there. But I think that what we've seen already, just with the way that she wants to take it to the contest, is something that I absolutely love. I continue to say with Luke Metcalf and his development as a halfback, I think what I love more than anything is seeing someone that mentally just wants to take it to the contest no matter what, and will learn from it over time. And she, as same with Michaela we spoke about before, she's got that ability as well. She looks like she wants to take it to the game every time she gets her hands on the ball. And the last little thing too, as you said, with her kicking game, looked very nice. She's got a really good technique under her. I know we only saw one moment with a goal kicking as well, but just her technical ability in that area as well. Just seeing some of the union highlights, so I think that she's got a lot of ability to be a star in this lineup that we have. And as someone that I'm I continue to want to come back and watch her now. This is what's going to grow the sport in the Warriors back in New Zealand. Seeing the girls watching someone like Patricia go out there and absolutely kill it. I think she's got all the ability to be a superstar for sure.
It is. It's Team Mackey's coming with a question. Is Michaela winning or hooking? For me, maybe I'll chuck the stash off me, but I think she's definitely a winger. I don't think she has the passing game out of hooker. If you look at her passing, sometimes out dummy half. Not saying it can't develop. Maybe later on down the path. I know this kind of sounds weird, but I maybe give it if Uppy got injured, I'd look at her as a fullback option. A little, tiny like what's trying to think of the small, a little Taine maybe. Should we say?
Little Matty Bowen.
A little Matty Bowen, like straight up. That would be interesting to see, because then you'd see more of the open running for her. You want to see her get into that long stride, but I think let's work this out for her. I think she missed a few opportunities too. There was a cutout. I think Uppy kind of got in the way of it from Curtin, and it could have landed on Michaela. So there's things to iron out before we go that far. What would you say, Ash? Just quickly.
Yeah, I'm fully in the camp of she's an absolute out and out like outside back. I don't see her as a hooker type. I think what's thrown a lot of people in this area, I think, is early on in the game she wanted to get her hands on the ball and she found herself out in that hooking position doing that, which I think it's just because she's so new to the game and she was so wanting to get into the contest, she found herself in the hooking position a lot. But for sure, I see her Roger's got the sidestep to him, but more of Roger's run rate out of his back end, the meters she's going to get through. She's going to be one of those type of girls are going to be really hard to stop, like a Julia Robertson that the Broncos have. Just a really strong outside back is going to take a lot of meters and stuff. And once she gets under the higher ball stuff down packed and that, I don't think people are going to ever question this ever again. I think she's an outside back all day. Maybe center could be a double position for her in the future. Who knows? But I like her on the wing, with her speed and her ability from there.
I mean, straight up, some of it carries through the middle. She was pounding with Rima Butler, and no fear, no concern for and I'm going to work power through you guys. I think she's one of those athletes that says, I'm smaller than you guys, but I'm gonna power through you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
yep.
I got to give her a lot of credit. Let's just quickly, last thing, probably for me. I thought just quickly the back rowers were good. Baker and Atai. Leishon, how do you see Leishon being used? Do you think she was used effectively? I thought she was pretty good. What did you make of Leishon's performance? I'm trying to think of her as a ball playing lock, but she's a big unit. And it's sometimes you want her for pure carries, but then she had some nice touches too. Maybe it's just one of those things getting in sync with the rest of the team. What did you make of her performance?
Yeah, for me, I always label her as I look at her as a Tohu Harris type, right? I know because of her size and how she goes around in the middle, you would love to see her just carry it. And maybe she could take little pointers from Tohu's game where he picked it out so many good times where he chose to run and chose to pass. I think her pass selection, that will grow in time with the combinations that she has with her halves and stuff. She'll be that great link player. When I watched her at the Knights, they played her on an edge. She was damaging on an edge because she was a good line runner in that. But her beautiful tip-on plays used to be something that I used to enjoy so much out of her, and you can tell that she's taken a lot from her uncle, obviously, Stacey Jones, with her ball playing ability in that. But I think, again, the best way, the mold I look at her in is very similar to a Tohu Harris type mold, that she's just going to be attracted to get through the work, get through that real nice link play. And I think over time you'll get to see the full ability of her, overall. I saw a couple of videos that you put up on Instagram, guys. Make sure you go check out Wires Up TV on Instagram as well for all of Lon's breakdowns. But all that will get a lot more crispier in time because she's got all the ball playing in the world. She's got the ball playing. She started off in the halves from memory as well. So she's got that sort of ability as well. That's why the Tohu Harris to me is just bang on the nail, on the nose. Yeah. We saw Tohu play 6 before. We saw Tohu play on the edge and he ended up as a 13. LaShawn's in that same sort of mold for me. So I can't wait to see the more out of her. You guys know how much I rate LaShawn. I think she's going to be incredible.
Yeah. I thought Harata was a little she was great for her impact, and Lavinia Kitai. I think Harata just got to find some more legs. I think a lot of the players the line speed was a bit slow at times. We struggled. But I think for everyone, that as a first hit up for a preseason, again, how many NRLW debuts? 10 NRLW debuts, whatever it was. It's crazy, So just quickly. Ron, do we think Ron has the squad? I think he's got the squad to just make something nice and solid. It might not be semi-finals, but it might be I should be trying to push for a solid 6, 7. That type of thing. In my opinion, like be a consistent team. Although you don't have all the pieces, you got new players. I mean, I think shout out to Ashley Matapo, who was actually a top 30 player for them.
Yeah.
And he brought her in because he saw the talent. Ron saw the talent. Do you think this team's got enough to say, look, we can make a strong push for maybe a 6 or 7 or 8? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you probably won't see the push till probably late in the season. Like I remember
Yeah.
early seasons of when Varney and Elia were both with the Warriors, and like their pushes didn't come till late when they started to really find themselves and find their groove. I think the Warriors will be very similar. This could be definitely a building year with the girls as well, to where they could be like towards like the bottom of the competition, that sort of area. But they've got all the ability to push for an 8 spot later on in the season when they all click, and that's going to happen in time. I think we got the perfect coach for that. Like he already seems like he understands where the girls are at and they're developing. He's not obviously putting a big label on these girls saying they're going to be grand finalists, anything like that. He's like slowly growing with these girls. And I'm very, very excited to see, the future of what Ron can get these girls to, because it has the ability to get into that, top sort of 7, 6 realm. If everyone was to click and get on the same page, their athleticism is obviously everyone can see it. It's just all got to come together in time. And, just the learning is the biggest thing right now. But I'm very, very excited for the future of these girls.
We are too, guys. And look, the girls are back next on this Sunday at home, which is great. Hopefully, everyone can get out there nice and early at Mount Smart to back the girls.
Just quickly, bro, I just want one more too. Shout out to Lydia Turura. Sorry, my pronunciation is going. Yeah, Quedley, coming off the bench, she looked really, really slick as well. I loved her, ruck speed. It just looked like one of those girls, like if anyone's watched NRLW, Emma Manselman, who plays for the Cowboys, in very similar mold as that girl there. Like small, but, just darts out a dummy half, creates a lot of speed there too. So I think she's going to have a really big point to play, mid to late in the season as well.
Bro, I agree. Quedley, her service out of dummy half might be slightly better than Kotbaiko. But then again, let things develop as they should. But she has instant impact on there. And look, I think there might be a shot for her in the halves at some point. But I think give Emily Curtin some more time. I thought Emily had a good run.
Yep.
Probably could have had some better moments, but that's for everyone. And Will's saying that Lydia is actually a half. So yeah, you might see that transition later on. Will's. And look, there's still plenty to go in terms of. I thought Matsukino Gray had a great game as well.
Yep.
Katapu, they were all solid, but then you go into the Wetiri, Lautiti, and Carmont. Who knows? We might get a reshuffle halfway through. So exciting times and unchanged, guys. Again, like I said, for the Eels, 1:50 p.m. If you guys are at the stadium, get out there and support them. That's actually a great time to get along to the girls' first home game. That'd be absolutely fantastic. So,
100%.
But man, we've got a lot to talk to with our boys as well. It is finally Teamless Tuesday. We've done it, guys. We've had the 3 buys. We've finished. It's bye. In the words of was it NSYNC or
NSYNC?
Yeah. Bye. So let's get shout out my man. Big up NSYNC, man. And my good times. Now we are back with some news, guys. Absolutely, and Bailey, he's called it out straight away. Tanah time is here, and that is definitely what we're going to talk about. Ash, the man has been patient. He has waited his course, and the opportunity has presented itself. From the foreseeable future, Tanah Boyd, guys, get this in your head. Tanah Boyd will be potentially the halfback for the Warriors going into the finals. So let's get our heads around that and think of how that might look. But firstly, him coming in this week, Ash. I know Cup's a different level, but is he? Look, we just got to ask the question: is he ready to go? Is he ready to hit the ground running? That's more importantly, or should we expect a bit of, a few errors or just a few timing issues with the team, fluidity, all those types of things? How do you think Tanah's going to go against for this game against the Tigers?
Yeah, 100%, bro. This is something I got to preface first before touching on Tanner. Like, to start the season, I got to, like, call it out for what it is. Like, I wasn't a massive believer in Tanner Boyd. Like, I thought that, obviously the Titans days, sometimes can hamper certain guys. We've seen Ash Taylor come over from the Titans and whatever happened to him with his career, since being with the Titans. And, I was just more praying that our system can turn him around and really create, something, there. With a guy that has been given opportunities, has shown moments with the Titans, but never shown the full consistent ability is the reason why he's currently not at the Titans at the moment. And again, the track record of the Titans probably not the best thing to go by. It's just watching those Titans days. I was just never looked at Tanner Boyd and going, oh, all right, boom, like he's going to be like the next, this guy, right? And maybe that's a little bit unfair to say to him, first of all. But since coming over to the Warriors, playing in the New South Wales Cup side, and again, when we touch all this, guys, the New South Wales Cup definitely is a step down, like a decent step down to NRL, and we'll get to see a little bit better of him being in a first grade system, in this Warriors first grade system. But I think all the things that he showed in this Cup side has basically, turned me around to Tanner Boyd as the 7 to maybe running around our boys out there, to see how it plays out for our run home in the finals. I think his kicking game's obviously the big thing that's always stuck with him. He's always been a great kicker of the footy. It's something that everyone's obviously pointed out with the Warriors that we really want to see from our halfback. His goal kicking is his next second positive for me. Like, he's kicking at over 90%. I think it's going to be really great for us. Has the ability, Bompy, I think even with him and Metcalf and that fighting out for that kicking duties, they were around like 79 to 80%ers, where Metcalf, was a little bit further down behind that. Tanner's got that real high clicker goal kicking. So you'll get to see those points, those 4 points turns to 6. And I think a lot of Warriors fans will enjoy to see that for sure. Then we'll start looking at his other rest of his game. I think his passing game's not to the ability of a Metcalf or anything like that just yet. But he's a very controlled, very structured half. He loves to play with his edge back rollers, loves to turn it back under. He loves setting up points of the field. And then he'll play through the shape with our outside backs, as in like a Taine Picky playing out the back of a sweep play or stuff like that. He's not really a halfback that's willing to go, bang, 3-man cutout. He's done that before, but he's not consistently that type of guy. He loves to play structured play footy. So I hope people don't expect him to be like this Stacey Jones type or anything like that. I think we should be expecting a guy that's willing to get the boys around the park, be a very structured half, and everyone else elevates around him. Like, Taine Picky, Chanel Harris-Tavita. I think those guys are going to be elevating around him. And that's what I'm very excited for, bro. And I think he makes a jump. I do think that we may see some clunkiness, especially with him and Chanel as a pairing. There was a lot of thought of maybe him and Tanner, to be paired up because they played Cup together and they had a really good combination. But I'm sure that over a little bit of time, those boys will click into gear. The main factor of what Tanner's going to bring to us again is this that kicking, in play kicking, cage kicking, stuff like that. And that gives him the ability to, over time, to find his gear and find him clicking with the outside men. If we're able to kick in the corners and defend it really, really well, it gives him time when he gets into attacking football to kind of grow into the game. And it'll take a little bit for him to grow. So I'm excited, bro. I'm very excited. Again, I want to preface, I was, when I first saw him over, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't know about the signing just yet. Now I'm looking at him in Cup and been watching him very, very closely. I see all the buildings of a very, very good halfback in first grade. We saw Toby Sexton do what he did with the Dogs. I think this guy's got a very similar ability, maybe more so of an ability for future. And the bigger thing for Tanner too is this is his ability now. You see the Queensland halves that we're playing with at the moment, and that he's a Queensland grown boy. There's an ability there if he ends up, really killing it for us and making it to the finals, being a top 4 halfback and stuff like that to bring us home. For next year to even put himself in some sort of a frame for a contract for another club or for our own club, and for a Queensland jersey if there is a future there, because DC's moved on. Tom Dearden has now got that, but there's the ability of maybe a 6-7 sort of duo like Tanner Boyd or a Sam Walker. So there's a lot going on here. But first of all, let's see how the game plays out over the weekend. But I'm very excited to see, those big key factors I was pointing out to start off with.
Just touching on your point with him and I suppose him and CHT. Do you think that I felt that Metcalf and CHT were mainly 50-50 for the majority? Maybe a slight edge to Metcalf in terms of who had the ball the most. Do you think that sways more now to Tanner? That is he one of those halves? Sean was kind of like an 80-20 half. Remember the 5'8" role was like redundant. It was always on the back end of on a 3-man. You know, like it was always on the second out the back. But you know, it kind of for a period there. Are we heading back towards that type of split, or is this? Do you think Tanah will be kind of quite balanced with a CHT?
Yeah, I think we're going. I do think we're going to go back to a little bit more of a higher volume of Tanner Boyd, but it's more so as you kind of touched on. I think Tanner's going to play with like a lot of around the ruck sort of thing. He's going to sweep from both sides and connect a lot of play. You know, seeing him in cup, he does play on both sides. He loves to connect with his 6 on out back of shape, stuff like that. So I think it does go back to that ability where if we saw, you know, with Luke Metcalf and Chanel, they've had a bit of more of a hybrid role where both of them were getting their multiple touches on either side of the ruck and trying to just playing off the back of that. I think Tanner's going to be a bit more ball centric, and that's okay. Like that, just like, you know, he's going to be the conductor, and it's probably, as I said, it's more so going to show out the fact of like Chanel out the back of, you know, I love those moments we have Chanel running outside as that, like, you know, that sweet play gets him on like 2-on-1 situations, you know, which is, you know, in the new league, they're attacking centers more so these days, getting them 2-on-1s where he's a run threat or a pass threat. And the opposite side is Taine Piki, who has the ability to play, you know, on both sides. So I think those games going to elevate. But the more touches through the middle is going to be Tanner Boyd, in my opinion.
I think so. Yeah, I'm just excited to just see what that balance is. But hey, great start for him. Great opportunity for him. So let's get behind him and get that. Yeah, let's get him. I think it's going to be a good balance. Good. Well, and things will iron themselves out.
Yep.
For me, I'm just looking forward to the long kicking game, like you mentioned, Ash. Would be nice to get a couple of tries and difficult kicks. Not, you know, at the end of the day, want them under the post, but you want to see just that kicking range, and then you want to see just the mix of play, where, you know, he makes the right read the most times, and then also defensive stuff. You still want to see just the defensive consistency. So I'm hoping that's what we get, and I'm excited for him. Congratulations to him.
100%.
That's one of those ones where he's worked hard and, you know, deserves his shot. So full credit to him.
I think it will be the big positive out of Tanner Boyd at 7 is, you know, a lot of people are talking about like how our ruck at the moment is starting to sway the way of the opposite side in periods of the game, right? You know, by the looks of the team list, we'll get to it a little bit later on. It looks like we're kind of pushed towards like trying to win the middle of the field a little bit more, pushing Maratini Kore to an edge, if that's the way it ends up playing out, right? You know, and trying to win the ruck in the middle. But if we were able to lose the ruck, you know, if our wingers aren't really getting the meterage we need to, or Taine or anything like that at our back end, someone like Tanah probably has more of the ability to play off the back foot than, you know, a Metcalf. Like I think Metcalf showed the ability to play off the back foot and did really good at just sticking to a structure. But I think Tanner probably does that in a little bit at a higher click due to his longer kicking game. His cage kicks a real pinpoint. You know, that's going to give the ability for our middle forwards to get down the end of the field, take that time to rest, but also just front load on defensive actions and win the ruck. I think that, you know, the opposite end is, you know, someone like Luke, as soon as we start to get a roll on, you know, momentum, a Luke Metcalf's probably going to strike a lot harder than a Tanner Boyd. But we're probably going to rely on a Taine Piki or a Chanel Hasdavir to strike on those moments where we are on the front foot, if that makes sense. So that's what we're probably going to look at with Tanner, is when we are on the back foot, which we are kind of finding ourselves a little bit in these last couple of games, that I think Tanner's ability to kick us out of our bad ends, you know, we saw him against us at the Anzac Day last year. He did that to full effect. He kicked for 800 meters in that game. So I think that's going to really sway into our favor, especially for our run home against sides like the Tigers and these other sides that are struggling to stick to structure. I think we're going to be able to stick to structure really well, and that should get consistent results for the run home.
Yeah, we're looking forward to I think we're just that structure. I'm looking forward to that kicking game. There's cage kicks, like you said. Maybe they sit on the 10. That gives you that extra 10 meters. That saves you an extra tackle pretty much. So it's so important. Yep. Let's cut now to little man Taine. Little Taine, like Little Wayne.
He feels himself.
This guy. I love this kid. And I'm big on footy players. Not a big athletic guy. I like a guy that knows a footy mind, and he's one of them. I've always rated his footy mind. Taine coming in for CNK. I love our man CNK. No doubt he'll be back at some point. I haven't watched the Dave Latelli. Anyone watched have you watched the Dave Latelli interview, Ash?
No.
Okay. No. Yeah. That's actually, he's pretty good. Shout out to Dave. maybe some people in the chat would have watched Dave. He does the show. I think it's Unfiltered. He's interviewed Jimmy Jackson, a lot of the social media guys. There's some really good ones. But I'm going to try to watch the one with Chance. Chance did an interview with him, going through his life story, I think, and it's one of those types of podcasts. But yeah, if anyone's checked that out, let us know. But yeah, Taine comes in for him. What is the kind of where are you seeing Taine and what he brings? Look, he's been on the wing and did a great job for us. Appreciate Taine. Now it's actually his time as a fullback to unleash and show what he can. If we go back 23 and 24, I mean, he had some really great games. I remember the game against the Titans in 23. I think he played. That was the time he really came on the scene. And I was really impressed with him. And he's had some other good games as well. But now that Taine's there, what do you make of how his impact will be?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the ability now, like, having, someone like Tanah and playing out the back here, and he's going to allow Taine to be the main, like, chief playmaker out the back of shape, right? So out those sweep plays, it's not just like Met's kind of using his speed to get everything happening. Like, Tanah's still going to, like, get really direct into the line, try to square up the line, play outside the Taine. Taine's got this really good playmaking ability that, we obviously argue with our molds of fullbacks, right? We've got, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck that's just running phenom. That's, sidestepping, just this tackle breaking king. Then you got a Taine Tuipiki on the opposite end for me, who's this playmaking, ability. He's got the running game and all that for sure, but his best asset for me is that, playmaking ability, beautiful little grubber in behind, stuff like that he pulls out of his ass. Chance is like a mixture of the two in a way. Like, Chance will get through your 300 meters, but he's also got the better ball playing than the Roger Tuivasa-Sheck type of, like, those 3-on-2 like actions, stuff like that. So the Taine's going to be a little bit more of the playmaking type, and this is not saying that he's not going to be the running fullback we all know and love as well. He's still going to be able to produce like upwards of 200 meters, but he's going to do that more, as you touched on before, in a smarter way, not so much as just a battering ram through the middle in those third tackle sets. We've seen Taine, he loves to show the footy. He loves to kind of like lull the defense a little bit because he is a smaller body. He doesn't want to get taken off of just this really berserking defensive line. He shows the footy a little bit, gets them on their heels, and then he kind of plays off the back of that, cuts in behind the ruck. That's how Taine usually loves to play his footy. The other area I don't think it gets touched on a lot as well, like, Chance is such a good defensive fullback, like in the league, and the way he like covers, he try saving ability, stuff like that. But I think Taine's got a really good knack of, finding himself in the right positions out back as well. You notice that, like, whenever a ball gets kicked into his position, he's usually taking it on the full. It's because of his extra speed that he has. He's not as big as Chance, so he's able to do those extra actions running over time. So I think that's going to be a really good ability for us too, of just, when those kicks don't go the way that the Tigers hope to, should go down Taine's throat because he's able to find himself in those positions and get those extra meters to get us on the front foot and just play with the boys that we have out back. So I'm very, very excited for that ability of Taine. I think it's just more the playmaking uptick we're going to see out the back of shape with Taine. It's going to make everyone kind of go, all right, that's what I enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just strictly now, I'm on the road. I've been on the road for the last 2 weeks strictly. I'll be home this Sunday, and the usual mic setup will be back, but appreciate the love anyway, bro. Do you think defensively, though, I mean, Chance is one of those guys we know, just that last line of defense. He's always that energy he brings. Do we miss a little bit of that last line of defense with Taine coming in? And like, not every player is perfect, right? We know everyone has their flaws. Do we miss a little bit, do you think, with Taine coming in that space?
Yeah, for sure. I think, like, it's that area. It's his numbering in defense. He obviously tells boys the right places to go, shifting in defensive lines out back. It's the last line, when they're on their line, try line defense, where Taine's going to get spotted up on a little bit more. We've seen Taine able to, like, save tries in this ability. He's got a good knack of, like, wrapping up the ball and getting himself under the ball in moments and that too. So it's not saying that Taine's not great in this area as well, but he is a smaller fullback. So teams like the Tigers, when they got like a Terrell Mayer, Fanua Bole, Samuel Afainu, they're going to get these guys running off the ruck. And if Taine's trying to add that extra number into the defensive line, he's going to be the spot for sure. So you got Api Coruscant and that going to be hunting and sniffing around, trying to find where Taine's going to be sitting in the line. And you're going to see big bodies trying to come up on Taine Tuapiki. Again, he's got the ability to do it. Like we've seen it before. He's done great in this area as well. But that is an area where Chance probably has a high uptick because he's a bigger body. He's able to take the contact really well. Where the Tigers going to be really sniffing him out, and they're going to really try to spot up on him and Tanner Boyd over the weekend. You'll probably notice it.
Yeah. I think this is a good one, Strictly. Any thoughts on how Taine can do to make up CNK's run read? I'm not sure. I'm not sure he will, or that he'll do it in the way that CNK does it. I'd like to see more from Dallin. We've all talked about maybe Dallin just coming off the pace a little bit. Roger's doing massive numbers. I think CNK, especially if your forward pack's probably not getting the numbers that they need to, CNK does inject and make massive inroads, doesn't he? I think Taine will do it in different, trickier ways.
Yeah.
Which may see us get different types of play the ball speeds in different parts of the fields. I think Taine has the potential. I think because of his size, he doesn't get enough respect maybe even in when he does find his feet quickly. The big guys still struggle to hold him down. So there's other potential ways. I'm not so much focused on the run meters, but maybe on the quick play the balls if that's one of his strengths for me. I appreciate when a player can get a quick play the ball, then that helps the next hit up for the next person, hopefully. That's the way I'm thinking about it. What about you, Ash?
Yeah, right up there with you, bro. I think Taine will make up that numbers on the spreadsheet, on the stat sheet in the area of, as I touched on before, using his footy IQ, showing the football, playing with the ruck in that way, coming off his right foot, coming off his left foot, darting in behind, catching tired forwards and a quick play balls from there. He's not so much going to be a Chance is just going to be this berserker, just going to be hitting through the ruck, and he may have that late footwork, but because Chance is a bigger body, that's really how he gets those run meters doing well. And as you said, I think Dallin, I think Roger will definitely have upticks in this area because you'll probably see Taine probably ball play to them out of the back end as well to try and get them through, where Chance is not ball playing out of the back end. Chance is taking it down his throat and running it straight back at you. I think Taine's probably more of when you see KP, when you see Reece Walsh, they were willing to offload it to another player to get those meters and play off the second or third tackle, stuff like that. So I think Taine will do it in other smarter ways. Not say smarter, but in other areas that are a little bit more, helping of his size and stature. And that's what makes him such a smart footballer.
Yeah, again, footy player for me, I always rate footy players over just pure athletes. And I think I'm really looking forward to seeing Taine play. Now we've got a slight little change as well with Marata going back to the back row. I mean, obviously that's for probably Catewell the more I think about it. And maybe give Laban a break. He's a young pup. But is that actually maybe a sign that what Marata's been doing, we talked about it against the Broncos, was unacceptable. I think it was 40 meters. The work rate wasn't there. Respectively to now that Jacko Ford's coming in, is that kind of a sign saying the Marata experience at the front row is over, and he's purely back row now, and is it a reflection on his kind of work rate? Is just he's just one of those players that won't ever have that type of level of work rate that you need in the middle, like a Barnett and Fish. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of food to that thought, right? Like Marata Niukore going back to the edge, probably more so because we brought Tanah Smith to the bench. We'll touch on Kurt Capewell may be due to be back after Origin, so this could blow up our whole thought process here. It could move Lecker to the bench maybe and keep Marata to an edge, or it could move Marata back to the middle, Jacko back to the bench, and that all our thought process could go out the water. But just judging on the team list we got here and just judging off what we've seen for the last couple of weeks from the middle, I think Marata Niukore has showed in areas that controlling the ruck is probably not his best facet in the middle of the park. Playing on the edge defensively, he's had some good moments there too. So maybe it is a little bit of a nod of the hat to say, Marata, you probably are a little bit more suited to the edge than what we kind of give credit for. When I first saw Marata through the middle, I was like, yeah, I love it. I think it's a really good thing that he's got aggressive, he's this, the look of him just looks like, yeah, he could be a modern middle forward. But But the last couple of games has given me more of a thought of like, oh, maybe there is a little bit more to, he's an edge player. We probably should be playing with him within that mold, or maybe a bench player that plays a little bit more off, with tired forwards, stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of a nod to the hat to that, to your thought process there, bro, of him moving to an edge to say like we need to control our ruck, and Tanah Smith coming to the bench has that more of like, yeah, we got a middle forward there that's well known for his defensive ability and how he slows down the ruck, stuff like that.
Oh, even you go back in years when I think Jazz was commendable with his defense. Even if you're not getting massive run meters, you got to be tidy defensively too. I think, but Arthur, just due to his size and height, it's hard for him to get up and down. You look at again the modern forward is that smaller frame, that lighter, that can get up and down quicker, wrestler type front rower. So I think this is just kind of a mismatch at times for him, depending on the size he's coming up against in the pack. But I think that we're just going to play it out, and I think him back to the back row naturally is what the last 2 to 3 years he's been that guy. I mean, I saw comments as well for him and the bench would be great. I agree with that, but just that pushing Laban a little bit, trying to keep him fresh, trying to keep Liquor less minutes off of him as much as you can. Hate Wealth, to his credit, is fought himself back into Origin, which is a bit annoying for us. We'd love to have him, but at the same time, Origin camps always help players be better. So it's just one of those tricky ones. But I think in time, look, we need every man available right now. But I just prefer probably a Jackson Ford, a Tanah Smith, those likes what you're talking about, staying in that role to help Fish, because I felt specifically the last game Fish got isolated by on his own a lot. Egan just maybe off the pace. If Egan's just off the pace and everyone, you need another. It needs to be a 2-man prop that can really kind of be a solid 3 with Egan, and then and Clark, those 4, and then they tie it all together. You know what I mean?
And like we're saying all this too, I'm not dead and gone as saying Martin Cortez not a middle player. Like I think there's ability there still, right? And like when we're nitpicking a little bit, like we're thinking of his last 2 games. The Panthers game, unfortunately, he got knocked out and broke his nose. He came back from a broken nose the week after, played against the Broncos, where he could have been hampered with the broken nose that he had from the week before. Like there's a lot of variables that could be going in there. So maybe this could be just jumping the gun a little bit to say that maybe he should be pushed back to an edge, but like we've seen some of his better footy on the edge, especially this year as well. I love in that play that we hit far post, right side post, right. Let's say we're playing right. And then Wade Egan will hit him on like that overs line that he gets 1-on-1 with a smaller half. When we're looking this weekend, you got, I think Jerome Luai defends on that side. If there was a Latu Fainu defending on that side, I'd be like, yeah, that's juicy right there. That's where we need Martin Cortez, right? So, he's got that ability on the line. So either way, I'm curious to see how it plays out. If it's through the middle again, because of Kurt Capewell coming in and pushing him back to the middle, I'm going to be watching him very closely to see if that is the area that, with us losing the ruck recently, whether there is a point to that. If not, then, I'm very curious to see what Martin Cortez does back on the edge. And I'm sure, he played a great game against the Tigers last time. So I'm sure he's got the ability to do it again.
Yeah. I think apart from that, everything's unchanged. I mean, Tamari, we talk about that. Now you've got Tamari. We always talk about this. I don't think we need to dwell on it, but how does that impact? We haven't seen him much in that ball playing lock role that we had when he would take some of the back end of games, and he's been with the injuries now. He's been really moved around a bit. Yep. Did you see him come in there and you almost have 3 halves in there at sometimes with Tanner Boyd? Maybe there's that link play there. You never know. He's been moved around a fair bit. How does he fit in this? Does anything change now with Taine in there and with Tanner Boyd now? And I know they're knocking for Healy, but it just looks like it's not going to happen, guys. So we don't need to rehash that. But is there anything in his play style that links well with the other 3 kind of spine players?
Yeah, I think that there is that ability for sure. And like we're going back to I think the main, again, I just really want to just touch on it because there is a lot of Healy love, and Healy's going to be an incredible player for us in the future as well. This is not taking anything away from Healy, but people have got to look at the track record we've had in first grade, especially this year. Remember last year, mid-game injuries have been a really key factor to us losing these games in periods as well. Like, think back that Panthers game, Dallin going down really early, Maratzani Akorde coming off early, Sam Healy hasn't got the ability, for me anyway, I haven't seen it personally, for him to go to a centre position and do a job, wing position or fullback position and do a job. Tamade Martin, if Rocco Berry was to have another hamstring injury, which he could have in him for sure, right? If Roger Tuivasa-Sheck has another hamstring injury, which he could for sure, like Dallin Watini-Zelezniak, if he has a hamstring injury or an ankle injury that he's just come back off, Taine Shuapiki, we've seen him have head knocks in his career mid-game. To carry someone like Tamade Martin is such a value to have. And it's not say sure, if we were able to say for 100%, all our boys are going to play the game 80 minutes, go through the whole game, then I'll say, yeah, Healy's such a great option because he allows, Wade Egan to get that rest and we'll have that real good ruck speed. But just judging on what we've seen this year, the amount of mid-game injuries we've had, and having Tamade Martin, like that Broncos game was a massive example of that, where he played fullback, did a click it there, did hooker when Wade Egan was off injured with the HIA, then had to play in half to finish out the game and did a great job doing so. So I think that he's the best 14 we have at the moment. And for what the track record has been with mid-game injuries, guys, I really want to key that in, mid-game injuries. He's got the ability for us to end up pushing into positions to end up, keeping us on the front foot and being able to do certain things in the game. I understand it takes away a little bit from that hooker and that ruck position, but that's if everything goes perfect, where, the last couple of weeks, not everything is going to go perfect in an NRL football game. And I think Tamade opens up to so much of that. So if everything goes perfect, love to see him in that 13 jersey, play that multiple, half role that you speak of. But again, I just see his best asset is a guy that can play hooker, 13, 1, center, 6, 7, can put him anywhere and he's going to do a job. And he's shown that for every time he's played for us.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. That's as simple as we can explain it. And again, if you've got issues, take it up with Webby. Welcome in, everyone. Okay, man, is there anything else that you wanted to chat from the team list in terms of talking points? For me, it's great to see. That's probably one of the best teams the best team we can possibly put out that's available. I know you mentioned Leatoa is back. We'll be playing Cup this weekend, so maybe Ali comes back in and we talk about that next week. Who knows? But
yep.
Are you pretty much happy with everything, or anyone else that you think we need to really discuss?
No, other than Kurt Catewell coming back in after Origin, that is pretty much going to be our full-strength team list on our run home, other than Ali Leotoa and however that plays out in the future. Again, there'll always be this thought of Tamade Martin or Sam Healy for sure, but I don't think that changes too much either way. I think that overall, this is the strongest team list we can run out with their injuries that we've had. Obviously we got long-term of Luke Metcalf and Mitch Barnett, which sucks, but the boys that are filling in there, Tanner Boyd, Taine Shuapiki for that, for Chance's role. And, obviously Fish is going to take a bigger role there in the middle for Mitch Barnett. So, this is a very strong team list for what other sides. If you look at other sides in the competition, look at the team across from us, for example, Vlad Tufanu or Jerome Luai goes down. Then next best is a guy like Heath Mason and that playing out of position to play in that 6th role that hasn't been seen, right? And we have that depth at the moment. That's what makes us a very good side in this competition. So, I think this is close to full strength for sure.
Just quickly on T Mackey's point here, do you think the Dallin situation is a smokescreen? I'm not too sure. They said they've come back. The report said he's come back early, but you see anything in that, Ash?
So there was rumor that there was an open hit out and Dallin was running quite freely during it. And the news that came out of his first injury was thinking that he tore more than the tendon or something like that. It had to require surgery or something like that. End up not being as bad as what first thought. And he's actually progressed really, really quickly. And as I touched on before, I think there was an open workout where he moved really freely. So I think that he holds that spot. There's been rumors that he was training really well and all that as well. So I think he'll hold on. I don't think we'll see Ed Gossie filling in for him. But still, like, it could, who knows what plays out during rugby league football. It could come captain's day, and he's running pretty heavy on that ankle. So then would have to make that late switch. But I think at the moment we should be all Dallин's probably returning here.
Oh, perfect. He's next man up. We need everything possible. So, let's roll with our man Dallin, and hopefully he stays injury free at the moment. Guys, we're going to get into our combined 17 very, very quickly. But before that, we're going to talk a little bit of Tigers. But after combined 17, guys, we are going to do the draw. I saw one guy earlier on. If it's just him and one other, we'll give the tickets away straight away. If the third player wants to jump in and make that happen, then we can do our spin the wheel of fortune. But yeah, type hashtag I'm in the chat, man. We'll get you guys in there. Let's talk Tiger Town. These guys, unfortunately, for the last time, I've been watching NRL 360 for maybe on and off for 5 years.
Yeah.
I swear these guys have been talking about the Tigers for 5 or 6 years. At least one of the nights, these guys on the top 2 headlines, just on disarray in the backroom boardrooms, the coaching. Madge had his issues. Tiger Town documentary was always a talking point. Now Benji's got his issues. Ash, what is happening at the Tigers? And what is their problem? I mean, it never ends. It never ends. I feel for them, but we've got to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely feel for him, bro. Like, as you said, like if you watch just any media outlet lately, everyone's talking about the West Tigers, and they don't stop talking about the West Tigers. And that obviously just comes down to the higher ups, at the club. I'm going past sort of like Richardson and all that at the moment, but the board that they have at the club, because they're obviously a combined club, a merger club. Of Wests and Balmain coming together. So since day dot, it's never been just smooth sailing for the Tigers. And unfortunately, because of media just finding their ways, finding their teeth into everything that they do, it seems like they're just a news story week in, week out. Lockie Galvin was a real unfortunate one that happened to him. Obviously Doggies fans are they're buy to buy at the moment with how that's sort of going right now, but it was a big news story that did not help the West Tigers. They're Talon De Silva getting moved on really early on. Like, that's another big news story that came out there. So they don't really help themselves in this area. But listening to Shane Richardson on last NRL 360, it does look like he has a sort of a game plan of how he wants to work it out. It just sucks that, within doing that, it doesn't look like the media are helping at all, because it's such an easy news story to write. I think it helped them over the weekend getting a nice win over the Roosters. They were really under strength as well. People got to understand. But it's unfortunately for Tigers fans, it's just a usual occurrence for them week in, week out. Like that Adam Dewey story of him fighting with Benji before the game, and then Benji coming out, I was like, I can't believe it. You guys are finding anything and everything to write about the Tigers.
I think the leak there must be a leak within the Tigers. I swear.
That leak's been there for years, bro. For years, because it's been happening for a long time.
The best was who was the GM or the CFO or CEO, the guy. He was a mafia dude. He always wear the mafia, the Al Capone.
So he was always Hajipatelis, I'm pretty sure his name was. Yeah, he's gone now, so far out, and he's still around. I don't know.
And again, you got to be careful with some of these back, like Richardson. I think he lives off a lot of the hype that he got under Rabbitohs. A lot of these guys are like, if you get one premiership and you happen to be the CEO of that team that won the premiership, you can start to get a lot of, gigs elsewhere. Yeah, kind of a Doc Rivers type, type that situation. But it just never seems to finish. Benji is another one of those guys. He's probably not the best for his own good. The whole holidays. Taking holidays for family. It's just the optics of it. It just never ends. But we're going to get soon into the thing. But does this line up for us? I mean, they have come off a win, but surely we should really put them to the middle if we're a legit top 4 team. What do you make of that situation benefiting us?
Yeah, and preface this, I'm one of those type of guys that say, like, any team on their day can be a tough fight. But, with what we've shown this year, our systems that we play by, like the Tigers system at the moment is fairly close to non-existent. Like if you actually watch Tigers football, they don't really have the points of the field that they attack off of. You don't really find a consistent theme in their football over time. When they had ran Lockie Galvin and Jerome Luai, and it's what Lockie Galvin's struggling with going to the Dogs, is, Lockie was just playing within, just seeing eyes up footy, hitting outside edge, playing some real like silky ball playing in an area, but not getting to the point to kind of, add on top of that, if that makes sense, where the Dogs play like that real structured game plan and it helps consistency. I think with the Warriors, I think it's again, like as a side that has a game breaking ability. Latu Fanu's had really great ability the last couple of weeks. A lot of people are talking him up incredibly, which is, he's a great talent for sure. Jerome Luai's back in there. If he plays Origin, bounces back there. Jarrell Skelton's a big body that does work. Suni Taruva, Terrell May, Api Coruscant, like these names actually can do damage. But the overall structure and the framework of what the Tigers play in don't really help them in an area against a side like ours, in my opinion. So I see us, we should be just turning the clogs over against the Tigers like that, pin them to the corners, really soaking all the energy through those middles and attacking them late in the game. Kind of very similar to what we try to do against them in that first game that we had against them. They've had a lot more fight back then. I think now, because it's later on in the season, the media storm around them, I just think that at the moment they're a team that I feel like you can crack, mid to late in this game. And I really do believe like you can come home with a wet sail against the Tigers and have the ability on that. And I think that that's what we do best at the moment for the Warriors. So we should be beating this West Tigers side over the weekend for sure.
Absolutely, guys. Now we're going to thanks for that, Ash. We're going to get into the combined 17. Let me just get my screen up. Sorry, guys, I haven't got the double monitors, so I'll be bouncing back and forth. But let's see how this goes anyway. A little bit of the spacing doesn't seem so right. I'm not sure. Anyway, but I'll sort this out when I get home next time. Let's start with left wing. We have RTS. Is that up against Skelton? I think is the left winger as well. Is that right? Or
yep.
Is it,
Jarrell Skelton is the left winger. Yeah.
Oh, RTS has been a fine form. Skelton's always been that kind of elusive player, that has ability. But in most situations, I'm definitely going to go RTS right now. What would you say, Ash?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, bro. Lock and load, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. I think Skelton's an incredible player for the future. I think he just needs to go over those little injury humps that he ends up finding himself into. Damaging defensive player when you are running the certain play against him, but he is a player that has a tell and always, plays on those tells. So I think it's someone that we can catch out, especially with Taine Chupiki playing out the back in those sweet plays. So I'm very excited to see it over the weekend. But he is privy to pulling off a really big, massive shot from darting in from the wing on a certain cue. So, but out of the guy, I think Roger is just as good as him. A run rate out of the back end. His tackle break ability is right up there. I think Roger just has all around ability that is better than Jarrell Skelton right now. Yeah,
Skelton, he can be on his day. He's very solid as well. But I'll give it to RTS too easy. Okay, this is a tricky one. We got a Taine Tuopiki up against a Sunya Taruva, who Taruva is usually in the wing. Now he's playing at fullback. Actually, he's played fullback for Fiji, I remember, and he's had some games at fullback when he's been called upon. So he's no scrub either. No. Which way would you go with this one? And to be fair, it's quite tight because Taruva, if you think of him, premiership winner, but also solid first grader, coming up against Taine, who I suppose who has been good in first grade, but also bounced out. Which way would you go with this one, Ash?
Yeah, Suni came through the grade as a fullback from memory. I used to watch him play New South Wales Cup for the Panthers at fullback as well. Very, very talented there in that position. I think due to the two teams he's gone to, unfortunately, Buller plays in that fullback position for both Fiji and also the West Tigers. So he hasn't been able to show that full ability there too. So judging off of that, as an out fullback at the moment, development-wise, I think Taine Tuopiki is a little bit further along development. But not to say within a couple of it's Suni wanted to be a fullback. I think he'd actually be a really good fullback in this competition. His energy is right up there. I think he can cause a little bit of havoc for us out back. But if I want to choose out of both these guys as a fullback and out fullback, I'm going to go Taine Tuapiki at the moment.
Yeah, got to go Taine there, man. Yeah, love Tanah. I can't wait for him to see him play. I think he's going to have a great game.
Yeah.
Let's go now to the right wing. Charlie Staines versus Dylan Watene-Zelezniak. Personally, I almost want to give this to Charlie Staines, but I know Charlie's I haven't watched much of him, but Dylan's just been inconsistent for me.
Don't you ever say that again, my brother. That is blasphemy. That is. There is no way I would ever say Dallin and it compares to a Charlie Staines. I think Dallin trumps him in every area.
But I mean, like, it's just. I'm just trying to say in terms of like, Dallin's just had a really poor season. You know what I mean? But Staines is Staines, isn't he? Cucker Staines, Daddy's Boo Boo Stain, whatever stain it is, it's a stain. You know what I mean? But,
and I mean, no disrespect to Charlie Staines either. Yeah. I think like he's okay, like, you know, first grader, I guess, but I'd say a decent New South Wales Cup footballer. His speed is his best asset. His finishing ability is right there, but in all other areas, like I've never seen anything out of Charlie Staines. So I was like, oh yeah, you know, he had that one moment for Samoa where I was like, oh my God, he's Samoan. I did not know that. And like, you know, played okay. But
Samoan, you just.
I was like, oh my God.
But, you know, there was nothing else that like.
I was like, oh my God, he's Samoan. Like I couldn't believe it. But no, but like, you know, I think that for me right now, like I feel like the Dallin disrespect or the Dallin, I don't know, like I still think Dallin is a top winger in this game. I think that this year he's probably not having his greatest year, and I think we can all agree with that, but I don't even think he's having half a bad of a year. You know what I mean? Like it's not as bad as what everyone's cracking up to be, if that makes sense. It's just not like the flying mullet as we all kind of, you know, were hoping and praying for.
I think my thing on Dallin isn't so much him being bad. It's that I just feel maybe it's a connection thing with his edge, or, you know, like I think the problem that people get is that you isolate Dallin so much as an individual, that you forget the connections that he has with everyone else. I just think some of the times those connections aren't the greatest. Yeah, and maybe I was a bit unfair on calling him, you know.
No, you're right, bro.
To be honest, I haven't watched much. I saw Stain scored maybe two tries, was it a week or two ago? Yeah. I've given him the bump up over Dallin, but Staines, I can't get past that one.
I've seen this before, though. That's the thing, is like, you know, but I think that all the time I watched Charlie Staines, I was just like, yeah, good. Like when he was at the Panthers, I was like, yeah, I just don't see it. I just really don't see what other people see. And I think, like, to your point with Dallin, I think that, you know, people don't understand like the frameworks of what our wingers defensively, what they do. And like, you know, they really don't understand it. The thing is, Dallin probably overplays his hand sometimes in those areas to where he kind of steps out and everyone's like, because it's Dallin, they're like, all right, you know, stay on your wing. Where they don't understand is like, that's what all our wingers do. Like, you know, if people not caught on to the fact, like, you know, Gossi did that over the weekend multiple times. Taine did that every time he was at wing. You know, Roger does it when he's on wing as well. Like, that's our framework, you know. Unfortunately, like, if you want to, you know, I think that he plays so well in his framework. I think just without Sean Johnson having that shape outside of him scoring those tries left, right, and center, that masks over that sort of thing. People start looking at it going, oh, well, what does he actually, you know what I mean? So I think that, you know, I do think that Dallin, I don't think he's playing as bad as what people first think he is. I think it's just more on the framework of everyone just wants to look at our defense, and because we can see tries on that edge, that they go down that track. Like, you know, people also going to understand last thing too, I don't want to talk about it too much, but, you know, that edge that everyone's scoring down, that is like, if anyone's played football, that is the best edge for an attacking side, no matter what, because it's usually predominantly everyone's a right-hand carry usually, right? You know, just talking about the world, not a lot of people are left-handers. So the best shape to be run in NRL football is down a left edge, which is attacking a right edge defense. So more times than not, that right edge defense has got to be your best defenders comparatively out of the two. So that's why you get seen a lot more looks down that edge than any other edge in the competition. So people got to understand is like, yeah, we can see more tries down there because most teams attack down that edge. Like there's only certain teams that actually prefer to attack on their opposite edge. And that's usually a game plan reliant thing.
For me, it's not the. For me, it's not the. It's not actually the defense. And me and Ash have hashed this out for a long time.
Yeah.
I just feel there's some lack of connection, attack-wise. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it's. I feel for him because he is an attacking weapon. Well, yeah. I'm not sure if that's on him losing his, losing a bit of pace as he gets older. But it's more so. I feel like those connections on the edge haven't been the sharpest. I'm hoping he gets his numbers up. Me and you have never questioned his defense. You know, we know the system, but just something's off for me. That's all I can put it down. Yeah. Just for me personally, something's off in terms of, and if that's the elbow, the wrist injury, the combined thing, just feel like this year's like almost, I don't know what it is for Dallin. I feel for him. I'm trying to find that connection for him to kind of really get it, because you can. It's almost like you see his season isn't really getting going yet. It hasn't gotten off the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
And I think the only, if I was to make excuses for that, just off the top of my head, it would honestly just come down to think of the center rotation that's inside of him, or even us working on shape outside of him. I don't think our right hand shape has clicked as hard in moments because a lot of it's predominantly Luke Metcalf's running game that opens things up instead of just running shape. I think with Tanah, we may be able to see something there. Rocco is his preferred centre to be inside of him, so maybe they'll open things up for Dal. He's been getting it done in the air as well lately, which has been good. But I can agree with you on that, where our attacking shape probably hasn't helped him to show the best ability of Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, where, we saw over the weekend, Kossi had that moment where I think Dal probably would have finished that. We haven't seen that out of Dal this year either, so that's probably where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah, it's that. It's definitely a disappointment for him. But yeah, no, my Cucker Staines.
Charlie Staines. Yeah, I was like, don't you ever bring these
that was crazy. I need to smack on the head for that. It shows me I don't watch enough. I want to watch enough footy. Disrespectful.
No, okay, you're okay, brother. You're okay.
Yeah, calling me out. Call me out, man. I just let's go now to our man Pompey. Pompey up against, I think it must be Dewey. No, or
it would be Dewey because Stafford's right edge. Yep.
Now, no scrub. Dewey's actually pretty good. I'm just trying to. I haven't really watched much of his centre game as such. Pomps has been fantastic. Can't take away from our man Pompey. But Dewey is, I don't know what is it about Dewey? He's always good enough to be good enough, you know what I mean? It's he does his job, he's quite versatile, but he's never enough to be great, but he's always good enough to be good, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Dewey's one of those type of players. I put him in the same mold as you could probably put him at Chanel Harris-Tavita, is Jack Whiten. A player that is a great footballer. He showed great ability in a 6 jersey, but not enough to be, Jack Whiten was an elite 6 at one stage, and even Louis had moments there too. But you know what I mean? They got Jerome Luai. They're not going to play him at 6. I actually love Dewey at fullback, but due to his injuries, he's not able to really play fullback at a high click at the moment. He's too good to be playing centre. Centre's not really his spot, but he's doing it at a decent enough click to hold him out there. He's just one of those players that unfortunately they just got to chuck him there, and he's gonna play football. But if we're going out of these two, I think as an out and out centre, Adam Pompey probably just leaps it Dewey for me, and that's just more down to I just don't think Dewey is a centre. I like Dewey. I enjoyed Dewey as a 6. I actually thought Dewey is a better fullback. So that's probably where I look at him.
Yeah, it's one of those guys. He's actually quite versatile. He'd probably be a good utility in an our system, maybe.
Yeah.
Or someone that you can really move around and do a job. That type of a player. They can play 100%. Centre, they can play a bit of 5'8", can play a little bit of fullback, like you said. So, shout out to Ben Henry. Ben
great shout.
That was the old school. I see that's all that is. Benry. Didn't he?
That's a great shout.
Good old days. Okay, let's go. Yeah, definitely Pomps. We love Pomps here at Wise Up TV. Berry versus Stafford Tour.
Mm.
Am I going? Am I being? I mean, Stafford Tour. I know he's kind of inconsistent, but he is a bit of a try. He can be a try scoring machine.
Yep.
Berry coming off injury. Although I know people were hard on Berry, but I thought he was fantastic against the Broncos. Majority, like there's some breakdowns, sure, and I don't think it's all him to blame. But Rocco's that solid defender that we need. How does this shape up? You probably go Rocco based on thing, but I haven't watched enough Stafford Tour to know how good Stafford's been either.
Yeah, he's an interesting player, Stafford, bro, because he's shown so much ability, but he's also just had these games that are like, I think a really good comp for him is like a Brian Kelly type. Like on his day, he could be such an elite center and can break you apart. Like we've seen that game he had against Valentine Holmes that everyone brings up, the 70-point game to put on the Cowboys, and it was just like one of these boom games where you're just like, oh my God, like Stafford's got it again. Like when he came through grade, this is what everyone saw in him. And then he could have these games where just the errors really kill him defensively. I think injuries are unfortunately really hampered him. This battle is actually really close because you're 100% right. Like Rocco just hasn't kick-started fully this year because of his injuries as well. So maybe I could just give the shout to a Stafford tie in this argument, especially this year. But I think Rocco over time would be the better center consistently and stuff like that. Like I prefer Rocco personally, but if I want to go 50-50 for this argument, I think Stafford's probably been the better player just this year, I guess.
It's probably based on just like health and availability, right? That type of thing, and a little bit of he's had some. Just Rocco, I just think, still finding his feet again.
And it feels hard. Like I think Rocco is like, again, like my preference is Rocco. Like I think Rocco is a great center and all that, but I just want him to get over these injuries and just to play like consistent football for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Stafford showed this high end ability, but he just can't consistently hold that high end ability. Like he has these big rocks and diamonds. But at the moment, he's probably had a little bit more diamonds at the moment this year. And that's why I swung that way just slightly.
Yep. No, we'll give it that way. That's fair enough. Okay, they're going to go to the halves now. Luai versus Harris DeVito. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that is it, I think. Yep. Okay. Look, you can't. Luai's origin player. Are we going based on rep or are we going on form? I mean, Chanel's been very solid. You probably argue that, again, Luai, the more experienced. Then again, I'd probably go Luai here. What would you say, Ash?
Yeah, I'm going Jerome Luai here. I think Luai, again, just so I know it's hard to we're going on form and stuff like that, but like I think New South Wales Blues 6, like he's won that many premierships in a row. Like he's doing something right. Like he's an incredible player. So, not to say Chanel's not up there, but I think that there's a league in between Chanel and Jerome Luai at the moment. Not to say you can't get there, Chanel, but Jerome Luai is at the top echelon of 6 for sure.
Yeah, gotta give it to our man Luai. Respect to Luai as well. Okay, let's go now to Tanah Boyd versus Latu Whānau. I mean, Latu Whānau, to his credit, has been in the team quite a few times this year. Tanah's getting his first grade start this season. Where does that sit for you, even though Tanah hasn't played any first grade? Latu scores a try last week, not to say that he's the bee's knees at all. Does Tanah, based on just his past experience as a half, overdo Latu Whānau, who I find kind of is still finding his feet or isn't quite settled yet, but has played normal first grade games? It's kind of one of those ones where the play we're just going on value of player currently, even though it's cup or first grade. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a really tough one for me because right now as a halfback of a controlled halfback, I think Tanah wins out this battle. I think Tanah's got a better kicking game. I think Tanah, sets his points on the field better. But I think as an out-and-out footballer, consistently for form-wise, I think Latu's been incredible this year. And I think Latu can grow in those areas, but I think Latu's more suited to me as a running 6 Like, I love how he squares up the line. I love how he does all those playmaking roles there. When he chooses to run first is when he's the scariest for sure. He's got beautiful balance. I can't wait to see that Tongan duo of Isaiah Qatar and Latu Fanu at the end of the season, because I think both those guys, like, it's going to be a real struggle to handle. Oh, bro, like, this one's really tough. I think, again, going back to, like, if I want a halfback, I'm choosing Tanah Boyd. If I want a player, I'm choosing Latu Fanu. And especially looking at this season, Tanner's been playing cup, been playing incredible, but first grade form, Latu's been very, very good as well. So, what do you reckon?
Let's give it to. I'm just gonna give it to Latu. I'm just gonna hold off on Tanner just for this week at least. Just give him a chance to find his feet. But no issue, in future, specifically for half, that could definitely change as well. So.
And shout out to the Pacifica boys, bro. Like, like we're talking about Shnaris Tavita and Jerome Luai, probably going to be the 6 and 7 for Samoa at the end of the season. Oh, if not, Blaze Talangi is probably going to be around about there as well. And Latu Fanu, Isaiah Katoa, bro, both incredible halves for Tonga as well. So, Pacifica halves and Pacifica football is booming at the moment. And we got to love it, bro. Like, the culture is incredible.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We love to see it. We want to see quality. For Pacific Champs is absolutely huge. And just want to quickly shout out my man, Joshua Hill. I just wanted to remember coming up again this time in Tanah Boy. Tanakwe. Love your work and see you in a couple of weeks. Absolutely, Josh. I got to get in touch with you to talk about what we're doing. So thanks for that reminder, bro. We'll chat soon. But thank you for the super chat. We always appreciate you, bro. And I'm going to get you back on. Me and Ash, I've been all over the place. So once I get settled back in home, end of this week, we should be good to go. Get back to regular programming. Okay, let's get now into the middles. Good little battle, this one. We've got, well, not battle as such, but two kind of marquees. You've got Fisher Harris, Jackson Ford, Terrell May and Fanor Pauling. I mean, I'm going the top two there with Fish and Terrell. Yep. What's your call there, Ash?
Yeah, I'm going to go Fish and Terrell for sure. Again, people have known, I've my thoughts around Terrell May. I think he's a good footballer. In aspects of this year, I think he's definitely exceeded my expectations of him stepping up at the plate for the Tigers. I don't want to discredit. I think Fanor Bolle has been incredible for him this year as well, and I think he's definitely held the mantle with him. But Terrell's been consistently just running for 200 odd meters a game. The offloads he brings. And Fish on the other hand, bro, what Fish has brought to the Warriors has been incredible. Just the defensive work that Fish brings. If you're looking at both these front rowers, Fish is the out and out better, defensive front rower. Terrell in attack has been a big weapon for the Tigers this season, especially with his offload and his continual, run efforts. So, both those two have got to be the props for sure.
And just quickly, so we can get it all lined up, Clark and Twal. I'm going to go Clark there, although I love my man Twal as well. I think he's a good player. What's your thoughts there?
Echo that exact same sentiment, bro. Got to go Clark. I think he's a better 13 and that, but I think 12, shout out to 12. He's heavily slept on, so a very good player.
Yeah, man. We love him. We love old 12. Team May, there you go. And if you guys don't watch some of Team May's content, it's fantastic. Love the episode with him and it's his dad, their story, bro. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I respect him. Okay, good battle here coming up. We've got Wade Egan versus Apisai Portisao. You probably go Wade Egan based on playing in a winning side, being influential. But Uppy, how has he been going this year? I haven't watched much of him, but still highly respect him as just a class player.
Yeah, I think Uppy's been really good for the Tigers when he's been able to play. I think this has been a year that he's just been in and out of the lineup due to whether it was due to injury or little setbacks that he's had this year. But we know what he possesses. He's, on his day, he's right up there to contend with Harry Grant, as your top hooker. I still have Harry Grant, for sure at top. But Uppy Coruscant has always got to be around about in that area as well. So if it was me in this battle, like I know Wade's probably been he's definitely the most consistent hooker this season. He's produced a lot more for the Warriors in that sort of sense. But Uppy Coruscant has probably had the bigger moments for the Tigers this year too. And as an out-and-out hooker, like right now, I think Uppy Coruscant is still the better hooker out of the two, just. Yeah, but this is a tight one, bro. It is a very tight one, in my opinion. Like, if we're going on this year's form, I'd probably go Wade Egan. If you're going on out-and-out hooker, I think Uppy Coruscant still probably is the better hooker. Just.
Yeah, I will give it to Uppy, man. I like to give it, the credit that he deserves. I saw a lot of people in the chat as well giving it to Uppy, but we love Egan. And it's a great clash of styles, isn't it? Uppy's so nifty, man. He's around the ruck. He's a great player to watch. And then Egan's fantastic with his ball delivery, his service, is kind of finding the right pass to make, those types of things. So it's a great battle to watch.
100%.
Let's go to the edges now. We've got Leka versus Tony Sukar. I think it is, or is it Fainu? Who's left side?
It's dependent on if Leka plays left, which he should if Maratza plays right. So because Maratza's always been right edge. So if we go on left side, it'll be actually Leka versus Semiola Fainu, which is a crazy matchup. It's a crazy matchup.
Fainu's been beast too, man. I can't. I want to give acknowledgement to Fainu, and we love Leka too. Just on recent, I sort of got on 3-4 game span. Who's been the better in the last 3 or 4 games? Just for argument's sake. Fainu, you might say?
Semuela. I think Semuela's been very good. I think Leka's been a boom. Like, you know how much I love Leka. So it's just like when I look at him, I'm just like, yeah, I can see the future. And that kind of feeds into what I thought. But I think Semuela's been just as good as well. Fuck, bro. I'll probably just edge Semuela Fainu right now. I'll probably just edge it to him.
Yeah.
But like Leka's...
The 3 games
Leka's already there.
Just to give you that, that little window, because Leka has had a tough little window. And he's still been scoring and tries. It's great, man. This is one of our supreme talents. We're so excited to see it. But to acknowledge Fainu as well, that he has been pretty good as well.
I think Semiola's been up there for the Tigers' best player of the season. Like, you got Terrell May, like he's up there as well. I think it's out of those sort of guys I'm looking at. Is like, that he's been their best player of the season. Bro, would you hear me out here? Let's just say we're going to go Leka and Semiola Fainu as our edge back row pairings.
It's a bit of a little bit of sugar. a bit of raw sugar, actually. Sukar is a bit of raw sugar. We'll go Leka. Yeah, is Sukar even good? Have you even heard of him?
Yeah, he's not bad, bro. Not bad. Like, he's a decent sized body. He's played middle and edge before. So he's just a guy that's obviously filling in a stopgap at the moment. He's pushed Alex Seyfarth back to the bench, so doing a somewhat decent job there. But he's still like a player that's just kind of jumping off New South Wales Cup into first grade. He's one of those tweener players at the moment for me. Like Leka is an out-and-out first grader right now for me. So I couldn't have his name off this list. And I was sure we're going to see a super chat to put him in there soon too.
Man, absolutely. Okay, let's go now to the interchange. There's Tamani Martin, Jacob Laban, Dimitri Tanah. Justin Seyfarth, Sione Fainu, Jake Bird. Now, do we go with a 80-minute hooker? We've got Uppy in there. Is he 80 minutes these days? Or are we going... even Talon De Silva's gone now, eh?
Yep. This is the position they're in.
Okay, so I think Uppy plays, 60, 70 nowadays, does he? Or around 60, 50, 60?
Yeah, Uppy plays his 60. Tristan Hope comes in now, and Hope does a great job. Like, he's been a really good little find for the Tigers this season, I believe. But to the ability of pushing into our 14 here, I probably would go to Mine Martin first of all. And then if I'm looking at anyone there for the Tigers, I'm going Laban.
Is all right, or Fainu?
Yeah. I'm going Laban.
Not bad. I mean, they're okay, aren't they? But they're super
they're not
great.
bad. I think Laban, Vaimonga, and Stowers. I was like either thinking Jack Bird or Styles Smith.
Jack Bird can give you more versatility, I'd say, wouldn't he?
Yeah, chuck Jack Bird in there.
Yeah, we'll go. We got Tamati. Okay, then we got Metric, and you got who was it? Laban and Jack Bird, eh?
Yeah, Laban and Jack Bird. Yep.
Bird. Okay, guys, that makes up your 17. Sorry, man, I don't know why my screen's a little bit thing. So the back line is pretty good. With actually credit to the Tigers, they've got some quality there.
Yep.
You could probably maybe take Stafford Tour out, like you said, maybe go Rocco Berry,
Yep.
who I don't think is playing as bad as people are saying.
No.
Uppy's tight battle with Egan, Fainu and Leka based on those two. You know, if Capewell comes in, then maybe you go, you know, a Capewell and a Leka or Fainu. So that changes things up. Then the bench is pretty much strong our way. So again, it balances it out. There's some key players there, but you're thinking
Yeah.
you know, there's probably it's 10-7, I think, in favor of us at this time. Happy with that?
Sounds about
Sounds
about right. And I think we've been a little bit generous in areas too. Like, you know, as I said, I think I was a little bit generous to Stafford, maybe. But again, those are 50-50 players.
We could probably see.
But yeah, I like it. I like it.
There we go, guys. That was your combined 17. Hopefully that doesn't impact too much of. We don't want those. As soon as the Broncos win, someone goes onto I see a message come up on one of our videos. Oh, you guys had 12 Warriors in this year. Like, oh, come on. But yeah, no, very generous. Too generous. With our man Staines.
Watch Staines get like a hat trick this weekend now too for all this stuff. It always happens.
It happens. But guys, we're gonna do the draw right now. My lovely wife is she's actually in a different city right now to me, so she's watching this stream. She's gonna send me through the link soon for the event. I think I saw 3, so maybe we'll do 2 and see. We'll see how it goes. Otherwise, I'm getting a message soon that will confirm and say what's happening. But while we're there, we'll do score prediction just quickly. Ash.
Yep.
Is this a 13 plus? We get our mojo back. We're on our way. You know, getting ready for this big run to the end of the season, or is this another banana skin potential? Because we got a Tanah boy coming, we got a Taine, we got do we find ourselves on the back foot a bit and kind of shocked and you know the middles aren't dominant? What are the storylines or story arcs you can see from this game in your head in terms of, and then your score prediction based off of it?
Yeah, I can see us fixing a lot of things off the bye. I think that, you know, I've always argued the fact that, you know, usually teams do come in a little bit soft after the bye. It takes a little bit for them to warm back up again. I think history has proven that as well. But if I'm looking at, you know, ways that, as kind of said before, I think our overall system is just better, you know, suited, you know, for consistent football, you know, cage kick into the corner, defensively, just locking down the Tigers, you know, causing them to have errors, you know, turning over possession. It's what won us the first game on their home ground. We should be at home here. We should bring a big crowd to this one. So I'm going a 28-14 sort of contest. I think that we got the ability to push this scoreline out, I think, over time. I think it'll be you know, one of those games that hangs an 18-14 maybe or something like that for a decent period. Then we probably put a couple of tries in late to push that out later margin. So I would hope we do this in somewhat of a dominant fashion to kind of, you know, be like, hey guys, we got this. But, you know, I don't want to also disrespect the Tigers. The team on paper is not too bad. They've had a win last week. Maybe they're on a little bit of an uptick there. It's just I feel like the system and where we're at this season should be further along than the West Tigers. So 28-14. I'm looking at you know, someone like a Maratanir Kore, because I think, you know, Tanah Boy's going to use his edge back rolls fairly well in this contest. I think he predominantly likes to use his edges. So Maratanir Kore or Lek Alasima to go over, you know, I think that's a good little shout.
You hit it, guys. I like that scoreline too. We'd like to see it get to 30, maybe a 30-14 or 30-16 as well. Can see that happening. Not sure what the weather. I haven't looked at what the weather is for Mount Smart this Sunday. But look, we should be confident. And if we, you know, we are the real deal. I still believe we are. I've said that many a time. We should go and give a good solid performance.
Yeah.
Against the Tigers, and no disrespect to them, like they got some quality, and hopefully not to this week, but next week they get back on some consistency.
I think Lek is a great shout too, off of a Tanah Boyd crossfield kick as well. If he is going to be on that left edge, if we drop it right on Latu Fainu's head, you know, a smaller body out there. You know, Sukart is not really known to be an aerial threat in that sense. Like Leka is great in the air, and people are starting to try to figure that out a little bit now. He's just an athletic freak. So I think that's a really good one for if anyone wants a little try scorer there this weekend. But make sure you gamble responsibly, guys.
Gamble responsibly, people. We always encourage it. Okay, guys, it is a 3-horse race. I'm going to bring this up. Sorry, Ash, if you don't mind moving the thing again. We love doing this here at Wires Up TV. Get your bets in. We got Dan Powell and Terry Higgins and Hot Tuna.
Hot Tuna.
Who's your first bet, Ash? What are you feeling?
Terry. We're going Terry. Terry Higgins.
Let's go Teza. Let's just have a quick look in the chat. Who we got? Check it in the chat quickly, people. And give you 10 seconds. You going Teza Hill?
Yeah, you going Teza?
Or Terry Hill.
Tuna for the win.
Teza for the dub. Tuna. We got Tuna in there.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. And we're away. Ash might be onto something. Ash might be onto something.
Guys.
Teza.
Hands are up here, guys. Hands are up here.
There we
well
go.
Done, Terry.
Teza, email me at wiresuptv@gmail.com for your tickets. Okay, now Ash, remember this pick here. There's blue and there's red. Don't let the color dictate your thoughts. But whatever the color is will be the result of Wednesday night. So who are you going?
Oh, you know exactly where I'm going, brother. Hot Tuna.
Hot Tuna. Okay. Here we go. Hot Tuna or Dan Powell. Blue versus red. Sky blue versus maroon. Let's have a look.
Maroons.
Come on, Dan. Come on, Dan. Go.
Oh,
And the Blues will win the series 2-1 on Dan, my man. Dan, brother, give me send me a email at wiresuptv altogether @gmail.com. Congratulations to our winners and up the mighty Blues as they
up the Maroons.
As they obviously have got the blue color.
I love it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, guys, we're going to do quickly now Jersey Flegg. Then we're going to talk Origin just for a minute.
Yep.
Ash, yeah, the Silktail, shout out to the Silktails. They had a great start to that game, and then they pretty much got demolished in the second half.
Tailed off.
They really silk-tailed off, you know what I mean? Who stood out for you in the Flegg guys? I mean, they're getting on a bit of a run now here with TJ.
Yep.
They're getting some flow. Happy for them. Was it Jack Thompson in the halves? I think had some great moments too, and a few other guys. But you know more than me. Can you share who are the standouts from the Flegg guys that you saw over the weekend?
Yeah, great performance there. You know, we were down 18-0 against the Silktails. So shout out to the Silktails. They turned up real early in this contest, and the boys just dragged it all the way back to score 40 unanswered points. You know, just a masterclass from, you know, Brendan Norris. Shout out to Brendan Norris, our outside back that we're carrying at the moment. He is having an incredible season in Flegg at the moment. So people are going to remember his name if he is able to move up to New South Wales Cup in the future. A great talent there. Shout out to Jack Thompson, who's been steering the ship for our boys ever since, you know, we got Jet Cleary moving up to Flegg, up to Cup, sorry, and Luke Hansen. Him and Maui did an incredible job out there, you know, steering the boys around, you know, creating a lot of great opportunities. Patoko, again, showing out as well, and Joseph Ratcliffe. And shout out to the big boy in the middle too, Lau Lily. You know, I think he's played a couple of games, maybe in Cup as well. He's a big body, moves well. Getting a try in this game he was just this man mountain that just crashed over to kind of kickstart to get us back really close into this game. So those are the names that really popped out for me. I thought they were all incredible. Shout out to Alvin Chong Ni again. Like, we got a lot of talent here, which is great to see. But the big names for me at the moment, Brendan Norris, who's consistently been just this major standout we've got right now. I come from Brisbane, really good outside back. So everyone wants an outside back. We've got some coming through. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Great, man. Yeah, it's just I'm just again, like I said, happy for TJ and what they're doing there. There's some exciting talent that come through.
Yeah.
Again, acknowledging our pathways, all those things. So keep an eye out for those guys, regularly guys as well. Love to our Flegg boys and the rest of our boys. Shout out to Strictly. He's a man of his word. He always pays his bets, his deals. You know, we love Strictly, and we can't wait to catch up with the bro as well. He's absolutely awesome. And I always say, Strictly, for me personally, on Instagram has the best stories. I love him. He brings up everyone's stuff. You know, Royaholics. He's got. I even seen he's got links with other people that he's working with on Instagram and getting information out there nice and quickly. So I would encourage you guys to follow Strictly Wise _ content on Instagram.
Agreed.
And follow him, please, because he just loves our boys. You can just tell, and he's got. I love reading the stories because it keeps me up to date too. I miss stuff, you know. These videos drop at random times. It's like you might miss a video, and he's got it right there. So
100%.
love to our brother Strictly. Love to our brother Strictly.
Ciao, brother.
Okay, now, man, let's get into a little bit of Origin. Unfortunately, guys, I won't be able to do the Origin tomorrow night. I'm busy with studies still. Love some man. Boldo will. I think he might be continuing to do it. If you're out there, Boldo, you know, I messaged you 2 weeks ago. You haven't responded, so
Shout out,
not
Boldo.
much more I can do, my man. But yeah, I won't be on there. But hey, I'll you know, while I'm doing my study, I hopefully get a chance to watch it. Ash, is it time? Is it time for the Queenslanders to win at a core stadium, or is it too much? Is Big Papa coming back? And no, not to make light of it, but shout, you know, to our man Munster and the Munster whānau right now. Much love to them. You know, I don't want to make light of it, but that is a big motivational thing. It can be motivational. I remember 100%. Mike. You know, remember MJ when his dad passed and just destroyed and killed everything in sight, pretty much.
Yeah.
That can be motivating, and not to disrespect that, but you know what I mean. Is it time? Has Billy's got Hamiso in there? You know, he's pulling all the strings, Billy, to try and get this over the line. Do you think they're going to get it done?
I just have this, like, and again, like, it's just a Queensland sort of thing. I think that would definitely turn out on a day. I feel like it's going to be one of those games. It's just going to be a real hard fought game. And I think we can come out of the edge. Like, you know, again, as you kind of touched on, you know, all, you know, love and prayers, and that goes out to Munster's family and what they're dealing with. Obviously, the passing of his father, real sad news. But, you know, full credit to Munster. He doesn't need to turn out, like, you know, the way, you know, he's turned back in and he's going to play, you know, for Queensland this weekend, but he's doing that. And like, just knowing Cam Munster, like, you know, knowing of, like, watching him for years, you just know that he's going to bring something, right? You know, off the back of that, Josh Papali'i, also, you know, the debutant of Shibasaki in an Origin decider.
Shibasaki too, yeah.
Shibasaki's got all written all over him. Just one of those like Dane Gagai type players, right? Just stepping up on the big stage. He really does. It just has that feeling to me, right? So I'm going to go the Maroons, bro. I think we can get it done. I think we can do it. We've had some decent success in the past, even at Sydney. So I think we can get it done if we just knuckle down, fight hard for every minute. But it's going to be a tough task because that Blue squad, as I continue to say, is right up there. It's one of the better squads I've seen, and it's been consistently a tough beat for the last couple of years. So we're going Maroons just.
See, I think if Daly doesn't they should be able to get this over the line. The Blues at home, and the talent's there. Luai, Cleary, all of them. If they don't get over the line, I think for me it's a decent embarrassment. Maybe not a massive embarrassment, but everything screams Blues. But you're right, you never get it wrong. If it's tied at half time, who knows? That clutch, that gene of the Queenslanders can come in and kind of, if they feel New South Wales getting a bit tight, this is an actual perfect game for Cleary to cement his legacy of an actual, everyone's been trying to say, he's just a great NRL regular season, premiership player, 4 championships. But now it's like they're still questioning his origin, pedigree. This is one, bro. If you dominate this game and get these guys home, another tick in the box for me, So it's kind of there's a lot of storylines to it actually, if you really break it down. So it's one of those really good ones. What's the scoreline?
I'm gonna go Maroons 20-18. Very close.
Yeah, I can't see it. Sometimes these things go overhyped and then the Blues just blow it out, something like that. But I see this as a tight game. I think they've got a lot of confidence from that second origin. So I can see I'll probably go Blues maybe 24-18, something like that.
Yep.
But it's tight. I agree with you. I think this is a very, very tight game. But yeah, that is it, guys. Just thank you very much for a massive show, Ash. You've been fantastic tonight, and
you too, brother.
with everything, my man. I want to shout out our man Strictly. You do not have to, my man, but many brothers and was whānau. Roll on the weekend up the Waz and the Blues up Paul baby. Yes, let's get massive week ahead, man. We got the Wahine too. And against the Eels, that's going to be a good game too. Eels got their dub. So, and it's a great time to now. Footy's relentless throughout, guys. We can enjoy it. No more buys. Let's enjoy. And actually, guys, now that I'm back in New Zealand and I'll be back home this weekend, watch-alongs is definitely on. So, I'm not sure if you're free, Ash, but if you are, come in and come in the watch-along. But yeah, watch-alongs will be back, people. So, and should be back to regular programming with club rooms next week as well. So appreciate all of our members and first graders. I'll be trying to I'll probably do a group call for all of our first graders as well to discuss the game privately. So things will be back to normal as well. But Ash, any final words before we bounce, bro?
Nah, hopefully the boys come out and get a dub this weekend. Both the Warriors and the Queensland Maroons. So yeah, very, very excited to jump back on with you guys on next Tuesday. And hopefully it's with both the dubs in the bag. All the dubs in the bag. The women's, the Flegg, the New South Wales Cup. It's onwards and upwards from here, guys. We're on the road home. It's the run-in. And the Warriors holding on to a top 4 spot would be a great thing for the end of the season. So see how we go,
Absolutely is, man. But yeah, guys, Murray, sorry, just quickly, so how can I follow you guys? Yeah, you can follow us here, Wise Up TV, subscribe. If you want to become a member, you can click the join button and become a member. It gives you access to Discord server, where we're starting to really push that. And that also, you can follow Ash on Ash Thomas on YouTube and find a lot of his. And you got a show tomorrow night, Ash, as well, I imagine.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Alright.
So jump on, guys. Before Origin, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So over in New Zealand Standard Time, that's
Yeah.
the 7 o'clock start, right? So we'll run you into Origin. Me and Brody. Obviously, Brody's a Blue fan. I'm a Maroon. So it'll be some good chat there before the Origin game.
Yep. And again, Murray, we are on Instagram. I'm on it was up on Instagram. Ash is Instagram and TikTok.
Yep.
Ash Thomas. So look those up. And shout out to Taine for sharing those links. You can see us there for different. And Ash does amazing content across all the game. And he's a fantastic super coach player. Top 1,000 in the world.
I've dropped back, bro. I'm top 3,000 in the world. I'm 2,900 apparently.
I actually had a pretty good week. I survived. I KO eats and drink water pretty much saved something resembling out of me. I'm still in the same position, but yeah, I feel pretty proud of myself.
You knocked it out of the park. KO weeks, bro. I did not expect that, but oh my god, he's been a boom player right now.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, catch Ash's show tomorrow night. Amazing show with the Brody. They like really get into the detail of everything. So anyway, guys, we'd love to see you guys at the watch along. We'll keep in touch. We're going to cut some of the stuff up as well and repost it. So comment on there. We try our best to do our comments, but we can't get to everything. But we appreciate the love, the subscribers, and yeah, let's keep pushing, guys. We're all in now, especially from us here at Rise Up TV. We're going to be pushing hard till the end of the season. We can't wait. We're hoping our boys do well. Tanah Boyd especially, all of them. Let's get them over the line. But stay safe. Up the wires, as always.
Up the wires. You.